We're now in the Kingdom of the Wild section of the zoo, where we'll see zebras, ostriches, giraffes and rhinoceroses, so let's have a look. Before we find out about these animals in a bit more detail, let's just have a look at them roaming around in this section of the zoo. This is the maneless zebra. Maneless zebras live in northeast Africa. No two zebras are alike, they all have different stripes. And did you know that zebras usually sleep standing up? This is an ostrich. The ostrich is the world's tallest bird. It stands to up to 2.7 meters tall. You can find them across hot parts of Africa. It does have wings, but the feathers aren't designed for flying, so the ostrich is a flightless bird. It has a long neck and long legs too. It also has long eyelashes to protect it from sand getting in its eyes. These are southern white rhinos. You find them in parts of southern Africa. However, sadly, they are very close now to being extinct. Rhinos rely on water, and also they wallow around in mud. They do this because the mud cools them down, and also helps to protect their skin against mites and biting flies. Giraffes are the tallest mammal in the world. Their legs alone are taller than many humans. They're about 6 feet long. Giraffes only need to drink once every few days. Most of the water they need comes from all the plants they eat. Next we're heading to this large area here, where the African elephants are kept. Now this area is particularly large for a reason. The African elephant is by far the largest animal that lives on land. It's also got a brain that's bigger than the brain of any other animal, and its skull makes up a quarter of its body weight. African elephants, you guessed it, live in Africa, below the Sahara Desert. Now for a long time, these elephants were hunted by people for use of their teeth and for ivory, and that has meant that the number of African elephants is a lot lower than it used to be. African elephants love spraying themselves and each other with water. Now, when an African elephant gets pregnant, it takes 2 years for it to carry that baby before it has the baby. Next up, we're going to have a look at some flamingos. The flamingos at Colchester Zoo are Chilean flamingos. So these Chilean flamingos are from Chile, which is a country in South America. Flamingos are a very old group of birds. In fact, we know that we've had flamingos on Earth for about 10 million years. Now, did you know that although they're known for being pink, they're not actually born with that lovely pink colour? In fact, they get it from the food that they eat. And at the moment in this video, you can see the flamingos eating. Next up, we come to the red panda enclosure. Red pandas can be found in the Himalayas, which is a mountain range in Asia. Now, although you can see these little red pandas here having apples, generally they eat almost nothing but bamboo. Red pandas are very endangered, which means there aren't really many of them left in the wild. We're now going to head on to take a look at the leopards. Colchester Zoo has 2 or more leopards. They come from the far east of Russia. Now, in the wild, these leopards are solitary animals. That means they prefer to hang out on their own. So, they have a separate space for each in the enclosure. Now, these leopards are distinctive because they've got very pale skin and then rosette-like spots on them. Next up, we find ourselves in the chimpanzee lookout section of the zoo, which is just by the exit. Now this time I'm going to share the facts with you before we watch the video, and I'll explain why in just a moment. So did you know that humans and chimpanzees share more than 98% of the same DNA? And it's DNA which determines how living things look and how they function. So that's how closely related we are to chimpanzees. In the wild, chimpanzees live in communities made up of around 15 to 80 members of them. Now we're going to watch a video of chimpanzees, and I won't be talking over the top of this. This is a video of what happened at Colchester Zoo when an armadillo found its way to the chimpanzee enclosure, and you'll see the chimpanzees seeing the armadillo for the first time. So that brings us to the end of our virtual trip to Colchester Zoo, and I hope you had fun going to Colchester Zoo with me. We didn't get to see all of the animals, just as I'm afraid we wouldn't have done had we gone on an actual school trip there, but you can find out about the other animals yourselves on the internet. So all of your activities for today and for tomorrow are themed around Colchester Zoo and our virtual trip. I hope you have fun doing them, and I can't wait to see some of the work you do. Have fun, and thanks for coming along.